that. God expects that people will function as they are directed by God, um, in spite of their shortcomings. And the Bible is full of folk who are filled with shortcomings, yet they became great people in terms of the biblical history. Such is the same as we relate to Dr. King and his life. And sure, he probably had many shortcomings, as all of us do, but that does not minimize anything that that he had done, or anything that he was about, or anything he tried to accomplish, and the things that he did accomplish.
Very good. One of the more controversial issues during this celebration, the sixth celebration, is the issue that has to do with Arizona. And I would like for you to talk about that, and at the same time to let our audience know that out of that has flowed a number of things. One of the things, ideas, well, perhaps you would like to simply give us some information relative to that, and include the issue dealing with scholarships and financial aid,
Sure,
perhaps.
Sure. It's becoming a very peculiar and even complex kind of story, all because of the ill will of one man who was governor of the state of Arizona, and then reversing votes that have been made, and then reversing again, and then taking a vote and deciding not to go with the holiday. It has become a very complex story from a variety of reasons. Part of the reason is the fact that the state of Arizona as a people have decided that they wish not to honor King in this way. They felt that, for whatever reason, that it was not a valid holiday. The unfortunate part of it is that the two principal cities within the state of Arizona, Tucson and Phoenix, have agreed to observe the King holiday. And so any boycott against the state of Arizona affects those cities more so than any other part of the state. And so you have kind of strange dichotomy, a strange kind of situation. How do you demonstrate a support for the local government that is willing to support the holiday, yet when you have a larger system that refuses to acknowledge and to recognize the work of Dr. King? All of that puts organizations in strange kinds of situations. I understand they're considering now to take the Super Bowl away from Arizona because of this. Many conventions have reconsidered whether or not they're going to hold their meetings, and many have actually pulled out. I was reading this past week about a situation where the Urban League has agreed to go on and meet there, and to meet in spite of that, but yet try to make a statement that would help the people to understand that they're coming there, though they're coming in a spirit of protest. We have seen where some of the holiday bowls that were just celebrated, they just had over New Year's weekend, that they offered minority scholarships that would help to alleviate some of the bad feeling, the ill will as relates to that. Of course, you remember some weeks ago the Bush administration made an error whereby they had said that, well, it's illegal to earmark any scholarships for minorities. Of course, they reversed that decision later on and said, well, maybe it's not as illegal as we think that it is. So you see a whole lot of dynamics have come about. But yet, hopefully, through all of the juggling and all the things that people have to do, that people are developing a greater sense of consciousness about the humanity of people and of human beings, that all people ought to have equal access, all people ought to have equal rights, people ought to have equal opportunities, and we as a country are still a long way off from having that opportunity. And for the state of Arizona not to recognize the importance of King's birthday, not only of a man who lived and who committed his life work to helping people to develop an equal footing, but also just what it can mean for people today and raising a social consciousness, raising the kinds of thinking that would help people to understand that King stood for ideals, and King stood for things that would help people to realize that they do not have to settle for mediocrity in terms of their status. They don't have to settle for second-class citizenship. And for them not to approve the vote seems to suggest they don't want people to move up in the world and understand that they can have dreams and their dreams can be fulfilled.
Very good. I'd like for, excuse me.